Hey you, I'm Sarah Turner. I'm a freelance medical copywriter. And today I want to ask you, what type of copywriter are you? Because there are a lot of different versions you can be as a copywriter today. So, first things first, I'm mostly talking about being a freelancer or a freelance business owner. And the reason I chose freelance copywriting over working for an agency or working for a company with an in-house marketing team is you have a heck of a lot more freedom. You have freedom to charge accordingly, to raise your rates when you have the pieces to back the value that you bring your clients. You also have the freedom to choose who you write for. And for me, that is so important. I never wanted to work in an agency or for a company because I don't want to be stuck writing for some company that I just don't really care about. I don't want to sell just anything to just anyone. So, being a freelancer, you have so much say in what your day looks like and who you work for and how much you earn. A lot of copywriters who are freelancers, they say that they can earn more as freelancers as well. And that has been the case for me. So, I'm talking now about freelance copywriters. So first things first, there are specialists and generalists. So one of the biggest mistakes I believe I made as a freelance copywriter was being a generalist. A generalist copywriter means you'll write for whoever, you don't have a niche, you're kind of open to who you write for. And I think that for the most part, what I have found is people choose to be a generalist kind of out of fear. For some people, they're really successful. So I don't want to say this is always the case, but for the most part, I have seen people choose to be a generalist because they are afraid that if they specialize, it will be harder for them to find clients and things like that. But in my experience, picking a niche and really focusing on one particular audience and one particular client has increased my income. It's, increased my knowledge base, my awareness of the audience and understanding of the audience. And overall, it's made me a better copywriter. So again, I'm all for being a specialist. That doesn't mean that has to be the route you choose. But I think being a specialist really sets you apart. It helps you work again with ideal clients, people that you really want to be working with, companies and people that you're passionate about, and it can make your days better. It also makes your copywriting a little bit easier and it helps you become a little bit more efficient because when you're already familiar with an industry, you don't have to necessarily do as much research. You're familiar with the audience. You're familiar with the SEO terms if you're using SEO. And again, think about it. When you go to a doctor, if something's wrong with your heart, you're going to go to a heart specialist. You're not going to go to a brain doctor or a generalist because it's something that's really serious. And that is kind of the same thing when it comes to copywriting. So again, there's specialists and there's generalists. My vote is for specialists. Okay, so now within this realm, within the freelance specialist copywriter realm, there are different types of copy you can specialize in. Obviously, you can write in a niche and have different types of copy that you do, which I do. But you can also become more specialized in a particular type of copy. So maybe that's the type of copywriter you are. Maybe you want to do more direct response. Direct response is when you are getting people to take action now. So that's things like landing pages, video scripts, video sales letters rather, Facebook ads, and things like that. Things that have a conversion rate where you can directly see how many people are taking the desired action based on your copy. So direct response is obviously the best. It's kind of considered the gold standard of true copywriting. In today's world with inbound marketing, there are other types of copy as well. So you could also be a more SEO focused copywriter. And that would include things like web pages and blogs and things like that. Things where you need to include search engine optimized keywords into your copy so that Google can find you and rank you. So that would be a great option for somebody who's maybe a little bit more tech oriented. Although I've seen creatives get really into SEO focused copy as well. Then there are other forms of copy, like emails, for example. Those can be direct response, but they also can be more of building and cultivating a relationship with your audience. They don't need SEO because they're within an email, so Google isn't crawling them and ranking your emails. My personal favorite actually is emails because you get a chance to do some direct response. You have numbers to work with, so you can see and test things and try new things to improve upon your copy. But you also kind of get to develop a long-term relationship with your audience, which I am all about. So those are kind of the general types of copy that you might get interested in or be interested in as a digital marketing copywriter. There are other forms, lots of other types of copy. There's print copy and things like that. So when you're trying to think about what type of copywriter am I, ask yourself these things to kind of figure out where you want to go. Would you be more comfortable as a copywriter with a job where you go to an office? Then an agency might be for you. And agencies aren't necessarily that far out of reach. You know, it's not like working for a massive corporation with an in-house marketing team, which can be a little bit trickier to get into, especially if you don't have a degree in marketing or something like that. But there are so many digital marketing agencies cropping up all the time. So an agency might be a good fit for you. Freelance copywriting, I think, again, is a great fit. I've talked a little bit about the pros of it. The cons of it are probably that, your income isn't always stable, and so you kind of need to account for that. When you have a really fantastic month, don't go out and blow all that cash, things like that. But eventually you kind of get used to that, and you kind of expect that there's going to be some fluctuation in your income. Another benefit of freelance copywriting is you get to set your own schedule, which I really, really love. So again, if you are, you get in the habit of setting deadlines far enough out, you can work with times where you're feeling more inspired. You can write more. Maybe you have a day where you're only planning on working a few hours, but you're just on fire, and you get to knock out a whole bunch more work. So those are some of the pros and cons of figuring out what it would be like to work for those types of scenarios. I would say another benefit, though, of working with, an agency would be that you'll probably get to work with bigger brands than you might as a freelancer. But keep in mind, as a freelancer, you can also do some contract work for agencies. I have worked with agencies a bunch where they didn't bring me on as like a full employee, but they contracted work out to me. So that's another option as well. And then again, with the specialist and generalist, when you're trying to think about that, really take a moment and examine, is it fear that's making me want to be a generalist? Is it the idea that you think it's going to be harder to get clients if you limit yourself with a niche or a specific industry? Because I really want to reassure you that that's probably not the case, because a lot of people really want to work with somebody who is a specialist. And then when you're trying to figure out what types of copy you want to focus on, I ask yourself things like, am I more tech savvy? Would I really enjoy, even working on the back end of Facebook ads? That's a very tech heavy side of copywriting if you want to go that way, but maybe you love numbers. And if you love numbers, trust me, there are lots of clients for you who don't love numbers, who would love for you to help them with those kinds of projects. Direct response copy is also amazing because you can charge royalties. You can charge more for your work if you have numbers to back the copy that you write. And also you then also get numbers, which is really great for your portfolio. Then you can also do things like, going back to the SEO focused, our emails. Blogs and website copy tend to be more long form than emails. Emails are a little bit more casual. So again, ask yourself, do you prefer writing in a more casual tone? Do you kind of like the research and, getting a little bit more technical, which is required in blogs and website copy? All of these things are questions you can ask to kind of narrow down and hone in on what type of copywriter you are. And then the other thing is you could do a little bit of both. Personally, I really like mixing it up because I like, changing from writing really conversationally for emails and then getting really technical for something like a white paper. So I love the mixture. So I've really just focused on becoming an expert in my industry, and I do all sorts of copy. So that's obviously another option as well. So take the time to really think about what are your strengths? what lights you up, what makes you super energized to do your work, and what's kind of draining. Because that's the other thing, is when you start saying no to kinds of projects that are really draining and not enjoyable for you to do, it's going to make your business a lot better and a lot more fun, and it's going to make it not feel like work. So keep all those things in mind as you're kind of working through to figure out what kind of copywriter are you. Hit that thumbs up button if you like this. Leave comments. I would love to hear what kind of copywriter you are. It's really amazing and interesting to me how even within copywriting, there can be so much variety. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, guys.